Fire away.
So the whole thing where you guys are huddling up at the end there, and then you have to take off and run back in?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
I don't like how we finished right there. That's all it is. We do everything with a purpose. That's how it always is. Yeah.
What are some of the things you did today with situational play and whatnot? What was your assessment of how guys performed inside the red zone and in those situations?
Yeah, sloppy. It's very sloppy. A little bit normal for this part of spring ball, a little bit frustrating. Now there's a lot of things being thrown at each other on both sides. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff. So it's a little bit to be expected, but it's still frustrating when it's sloppy and we're not executing with details. But I think that's how it goes. And this is a good, hard, classroom experiment is what it is. I mean, we just put our system in, and so there's a lot of different things, and there's a lot of guys that haven't had even game reps, and there is some that have had game reps, but we're tweaking little things, and so there's the details aren't where they need to be. Kids are working hard. They really are. They're focused. But at the end of the game, everybody works hard, and we got to make sure that we take care of the details and can execute.
So when you say details, I mean, what are some of those things that you look at and go, okay, this is where we need to improve? Is it finishing through plays? Is it knowing assignments? Is it something else altogether different?
It's all those things. Yeah, it's all those things. It's all those things. It's alignment, stance, start. It's all fundamentals and technique. It's all that. And then when you think about it, which there's a lot of thinking going on, it kind of makes it hard to play fast. We have a hard time staying on our feet half the time, and so that's a problem. And so we're learning how to play staying on our feet.
Was that the reason they ran the gassers inside?
Yeah. I mean, we keep saying stay on your feet. You only say things so long before you got to change your coaching techniques. So you got to do what you got to do to get what you want, right?
Chris, what's the biggest difference between the Ty Jones that we saw last fall and the guy that we're seeing right now?
Yeah. He's got all those meaningful reps behind him, so there's less thinking for him that he can play a little faster. And the beauty about it is, he'll get this, 15 practices, and he'll get a lot of work in the summer, and then we kind of repeat the whole thing in fall camp. And so that's a lot of reps under his belt. And then, you pare things down for game plans, and that's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is always to let these guys think very little and play very, very fast. And so, that's why it's frustrating right now, because there's a lot of thinking and not a super lot of fast play, or if it is, it's sloppy fast. But you got to work through the hard growing pains, and that's where we are.
Coach, a couple of weeks in, can you give us maybe a couple of guys that have really stepped up and really surprised and going to be competing?
Yeah, I need to bring a list for you, Kim, always, because you always ask that question. I don't know. There's nobody that's really, there's some guys I try to give a shout out every practice, somebody that maybe stood out a little bit, and those guys have. It's 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's a little bit cyclical. I thought, Jake Browning was really sharp early on. And, so much of the quarterback's game starts with pass protection, and so it's hard for those guys because they're getting a lot of heat brought on them early. And then, it's hard for those younger quarterbacks, too, to really show anything, because if they don't get rid of it right away, they can't really do much. But, I think Nick Harris is doing a good job moving inside at center. I think he's a guy that kind of jumps out at me. And, Miles Gaskins is always going to put his work in. He's always going to do a heck of a job. Got somebody sneaking on me? This thing falls on me. If it starts to fall, turn your cameras off.
Was he your backup center last year, Harris?
He was not. He worked some snaps. We've always thought of Nick. That's why we recruited him. We thought he was going to be our center. And just kind of how things shook out, we kind of – moving Coleman and some different things. We just played him at guard, but we really think he's a natural center. I mean, I think that's proven out. So I think he's done a good job. I think, Tevis Bartlett moving inside is an interesting experiment, and he sure looks like he's going to do some things in there. I think Ben Burke-Curvin always plays really fast and really well. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys that flash, and it's just about consistency.
Do you feel like there's an established pecking order that's started to form a little bit with the quarterbacks based on trying to get guys ready?
Pecking order, we would always use seating chart, if guys deserve more reps, they're going to get more reps. Like I said, it's hard for the 2 brand new guys just because they're trying to digest so much. I mean, Jake Hayner's had a whole a whole year of this, and it makes a world of difference. Those other guys will catch up rapidly, but it's going to take all through spring, and so it is what it is. But we're always going to change reps, but guys got to earn the reps and deserve to move around. But we like to think of it much more as a seating chart, on everything. Certainly the special teams, and you got guys like Jake Browning that's played forever, and Miles Guest, but if somebody else is performing better and deserves more reps, then they're going to get more reps, There's nobody that's locked in, like this is how it is. I mean, nobody. We would never do that it's not fair. I mean, it's not how we want it.
Kind of staying with Jake Haener, I mean, we've seen a lot of him so far this spring. A, what's been your thoughts? And B, when you think about developing quarterback depth, I think we saw last year how schools like Michigan really struggled when they had injuries at quarterback. Florida State, the same thing. How important is it developing backup QB depth this time of year?
It doesn't matter if you're talking about quarterbacks or centers or cornerbacks. You have to have depth. It's not we got 11 guys, we got 13 guys. You can't win that way. You can't. And so when all of our corners went down last year, somebody better step up, and they did. We've been fortunate at the quarterback position. That's no excuse if someone goes down. We have to have the next guys. I mean, it's probably not even 44 deep, in terms of offense, defense. It's probably 54 deep to have a chance, because that's just part of the game. You're going to lose guys. And so they better be ready to carry the flag.
Chris, speaking of that, where do you think right now you're at your deepest, and where do you think you're kind of at your thinnest?
Well, we're thin, just numbers-wise at inside backer. We're holding DJ back a little bit and make sure he really recovers. And Brandon Wellington's not doing anything. And so just numbers-wise, we're thin there. And then I'm trying to think. What's that?
How about depth, as far as where you feel like you got a lot of options?
Yeah, I don't really ever feel like we got, a ton of depth. Because, are we talking about numbers, or are we talking about guys that are like ready to play? Two different things. I mean, I can get a lot of guys off the street right there and give us a lot of depth. That doesn't help anybody. So, we need guys that are like that depth, like ready to play. And so, yeah.
Chris, can you talk a little bit about the move of Justice Warren?
Yeah.
And when you thought that was maybe a possibility, and what he's done so far this spring?
Yeah, I mean, he's a unique. He's a unique guy in terms of he's a really strong physical body type, and he's kind of a linebacker, he's kind of a tight end, he's kind of I think he's probably really a fullback. I think that's probably what his best thing is, and we incorporate the fullback a little bit, so that's nice. And I hope he can give us some work on some legs on special teams, because he's a guy that's very passionate about this game. He's very tough, he's very physical, and he has good hands. You can always find a spot for a guy that really cares, is really tough, really physical, and so I think we're kind of working a good niche for him.
When you look in the secondary, a lot of the young guys last year, Keith Taylor's getting some more reps this spring. What did you see from the young guys, especially the freshmen like Elijah and Keith and those guys?
Yeah, I think those guys are very similar to like Ty Jones. They got a lot of meaningful reps last year in terms of, when you're in the fall and you're getting reps, those reps, there's no do-overs, I mean, there's very few, even in practice. It's like these really matter. And so they got a lot of meaningful reps there, and they got a lot of meaningful reps in the games. And so that gives them a tremendous boost coming into year two. And so, like I said, I mean, they're going to get this spring ball again. They're going to get summer work, and then fall camp, away we go. And by the time we play, and you have to have, again, we keep talking about this depth, and that's the one position that's hard, because it's a little bit like an O-line. There's 5 guys out there every time, and it's a physical position, and they're not very big physical type guys. They get hurt, so we got to have some guys ready to go.
Staying with just kind of your discussion about depth and meaningful reps, what would you say you've seen from Van so far this year? Because Soderbergh, what do you think you've seen from him? Just because we got a chance to talk to him the other day.
Yeah.
He seems like he's definitely feeling a comfort in terms of just being on the field, as well as just switching majors to doing something he's more comfortable with, and making that balance. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, I think there's improvement there. I think we're excited about him. We're excited about anybody making progress, and that's what it's all about. At the end of the spring ball, we're going to have most valuable players. I don't know if it's 1, I don't know if it's 8 or it's 10, it's every position. And those most valuable players are really going to be the most improved players, like who took their game. And so he's improving. I think Peyton Henry's doing a nice job too. Nobody's talking about him because he redshirted. And, he's right there and he's doing a good job. So we know that's going to be an important part of the game.
And with kickers, I mean, is it accuracy is what you're looking for? Or what are those other things that when you guys sit there and evaluate, these are the things you use to judge?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Accuracy. Get it through the uprights. Got to have a little bit of height on it, and other than that, we're good. Yep.
See how some of the running backs, just in terms of like vision, finding those holes?
Yeah. I think all those guys, I think that's a group that, I think we do like in terms of legitimate depth there. And I think, the one thing that always jumps out to me about running back is what is their vision like? Again, we don't give them a chance to break a lot of tackles because we're trying to stay up and all those type of things. So that's a kind of a component that comes later. But I think you can see vision every rep out there. And I think all those guys do a nice job with that. I really do. And I always like to watch, Miles practice out there because here's a guy that's, not necessarily going to go to the ground, and that's that position, the most physical position. But he gets game reps every time he's in there, whether it's blocking somebody or it's running the ball. I mean, it looks like he plays in the game. And the more reps you can get like that, the more your game continues to go up. And you get more guys that practice just like that all the time, we'll be heading in the right direction.
Chris, how would you assess the leadership, and maybe that's what you're talking about, Miles, that he's doing it in practice, leadership of the guys that are coming back, Browning and Miles at this point?
Yeah, that's still work in progress. That's a hard one. You lose a guy like Keyshawn and, some of those guys like Will Disley and, some of those seniors that, good players and leadership are two different things. I know everybody wants to think that guy's a leader, and that means nothing. I mean, he might be a leader because he's a really good – they're mutually exclusive, and I love it. You really got something special going when the guy's a really good player and a leader. But, that's part of the process too, that some of these seniors, juniors, heck, I think we got a sophomore too that can be a leader. But they have to, the leadership thing is about others. It's not about them. They can lead by example and all that, but to truly get something done, it's about inspiring and helping others. And so, I mean, you're talking about something totally different than maybe I'm talking about. But what are they doing in the locker room? What are they doing on the, up on campus? What are they doing on the weekends to help this team grow? So that's a big thing that's work in progress as well. And, I'm just kind of sitting back and kind of waiting for this crew to emerge. We've had a few conversations with some guys that I think can lead this team, but I'm waiting to see it happen.
So it's a maturing process that it has to generate by its own self, right, organically. I mean, you say a few pointers, but organically it has to go by itself.
Absolutely. I have some guys that I would love to be the leaders of this team, but they have to want to do this. They got to take action. They have to go do something for this program and this team every day on a consistent basis. Or, to me, I've been around a lot of good players that I love, and they're awesome, and they've been some of our best players. But they have a couple of those guys been no more than, a leader on this team than my big toe. I mean, it's different stuff. So it's what it is.
What you mentioned, guys earning more reps.
Yeah.
Looked like Sean McGrew got a few more reps today. Has he stepped up, and how hard is it? It just seems like sometimes he gets lost in there. He's hard to find.
He is, yeah, and he is earning more reps. I think all those guys, like I said, I think Kamari and Sean and, Savon. I mean, we kind of all know these names, and Miles and Savon, got the bulk of things last year. But I think that Sean McGrew and Kamari are, I think they're doing good things, and I think, I think we can win with those guys. I really do. And so, but this is, part of the process. And those running backs so much has to do with like what they do in the weight room, and these guys have to be the specimens, the gifted guys that, I mean, they are just because of the hits and the things that they have to get out of and the pass blocking we ask them to do. And so, I think Sean's making progress, and I'm anxious to see him take the next step in our weight room a little bit as well.
What has Bush brought that you didn't have last year?
Yeah, I don't know if he's bringing anything that we didn't have. Well, he's certainly bringing some new tweaks to the offense. Everybody always does that. So that's different and new. And like I said, that's good. That kind of keeps us evolving. I mean, there's only so many plays you can run. I mean, there is a million really good plays. But you got to pick and choose what you really believe in and what to hang your hat on. And so, he'll believe in some things that are a little bit different than Jonathan believed in. So that's fine. That gives us a new little look, new little wrinkle. And I think we're always, on that. And then certainly just personality-wise, you know, that's new too. And so I like newness. I mean, I like change. I like growth. I mean, I think that helps all those guys.
Camilo Alford came back to practice this week. Where do you see him depth, and why was he not practicing? Can you comment on that? On him being back in practice this week and just what you see out of him?
Yeah, we're excited for him to be back. He just needed to take care of some business for me. Away he goes. But he's playing a new position, so we're kind of, you know, seeing how that goes. He's an explosive guy, and we're always trying to, you know, put our guys that we think fit the best and maybe where we're lacking a bit, and if somebody can give us something else. And so, you know, that's why we're, you know, moving some guys around, and he's one of those guys that we're anxious to see what he does through the spring.
Coach, are you pleased with the progress of the pass rush, particularly off the edge?
Well, I don't know about that off the edge. You know, I think that's one of the things that we're still really looking at. I think the pass rush, when we bring extra rushers, is pretty good right now. I mean, because there's, you know, part of it is assignment issues. And, you know, I think when you play for real, sometimes the defense can fall into a false sense of security in spring ball. You know, you blitz a lot. You're going to have assignment errors. Well, usually when you play for real out there on Saturday, the other team has things pretty cleaned up. And so you got to win some one-on-one battles in a hurry. And so right now the pass rush looks pretty good because there's a lot of different stuff coming at our offense. So that's a little bit of a hard one. I mean, yeah, it looks like, wow, we're really rushing a passer. Well, wait till our offense kind of gets some of these things tightened up and dialed in. I hope it looks like that. If it does, we'll probably win a lot of games.
Is a guy like Trey Adams on track?
Yeah, I think all those guys are on track. Yep. Yeah, and so, you know, Trey may be ready to go for the first game. He might not be. You know, we'll just see. I mean, it's going to be one of those things. I mean, those type of injuries are, you know, 9 to 12 months to 14 months, but you know, everybody's feeling good. He's right where he needs to be. Now I think that's to be determined when you start getting in there and playing for real and getting some more live reps. So we won't know that till down the road. Okay. Thank you, guys.